Vancouver has one of the best reputations in the world, voted one of the most desirable cities to live in, and host to the 2010 Olympics.
There have been 5 shootings in recent days.
But lately its reputation has taken a beating. That's because its streets have become home to rival gangs and a new front of violence. Police are heavily engaged. This man, arrested for allegedly breaking a no-contact order with known gang members. With nearly 50 attacks in the first 5 months of 2009, including 20 people shot to death, they have their work cut out for them. Still, they say their efforts aren't in vain.
We've had successes. Some we can talk about, some we can't talk about.
So how do you define success? Does gang violence, is there less gang members, is there less gang violence, or how do you define it?
Well, I define it with the mitigation of violence with respect to one individual or to one group. And again, with that being a police officer, someone who has been charged or someone who has simply just left the area and is no longer involved in that type of lifestyle within the province of British Columbia. That's what I count as being a success.
But as many crimes as they prevent, others fall through the cracks. So what's fueling this latest wave of violence? British Columbia's Integrated Gang Task Force, or IGTF, says it's all about market share.
We're in competition with one another. So there is a propensity, once you have the drug trade, a very active drug trade involving any number of groups, you also have weapons that they use to protect either whatever market share they have now, to protect their individuals within their groups, or certainly to use as intimidation. We have the possibility of violence. And that's what's happened in the last little while.
The streets of Vancouver are a world away from the infamous gang violence of Mexico. But when the government there assigned 45,000 soldiers to curb drug activity, the impact was felt here, according to Shinder.
Mexico is a large supplier of the cocaine that we see here in Canada through the United States into Canada. So once you have a very limited amount of supply and still the demand, you also have competition to provide that supply to the demand that's out there.
One of British Columbia's most effective weapons in the fight against gangs has been the Integrated Gang Task Force, a groundbreaking coalition of 6 Lower Mainland police forces and the RCMP. Since 2005, it has been intently focused on suppressing gang violence through intelligence building, prevention initiatives, and most importantly, working together to track gangs across boundaries throughout the Lower Mainland and province.
Within Canada, 900 criminal organizations have been developed or have been identified. Over 129 have been identified as operating in the province of British Columbia, not necessarily all within a small geographic area, but throughout the province. While that may seem a lot, I would suggest that our intelligence gathering capabilities have gone far to identify these groups at an earlier stage, so investigative efforts can be directed at those groups much sooner than they would have several years ago.
Let's go look at the restaurants and bars.
In 2007, the force's mandate was expanded to include a uniform team that worked the streets to aggressively target gang-involved youth and gather intelligence on their constantly evolving world.
Who's involved, who's not involved, and who should we target? Our mandate is to target those individuals that pose the greatest risk to public safety.
This is the front lines of the IGTF's uniform division. They call it proactive policing, where they remove known gang members from the Lower Mainland's clubs and restaurants to ensure public safety. Restaurants, bars, and even fitness facilities can sign up for the program, and the uniform team will pay unscheduled visits to weed out alleged gang associates.
It's in-your-face policing to suppress gang violence and to ensure the safety of the public. There's been in years past, there's been far too many public shootings. It's the violence, and it's really ruined a lot of things for law-abiding citizens, and the citizens have had enough. The police community has had enough, and we're telling the gang members, like, if you're in a gang, you're not welcome in a restaurant, you're not welcome in a bar. You want to be involved in that activity, this is what you're going to have to deal with, and you're going to be dealing with us.
100 Huntley Street went on a ride along with the IGTF's uniform division to see firsthand what a typical night was like fighting the Lower Mainland's gangs. First up, what the officers called fishing, checking out vehicles at popular bars and restaurants to locate alleged gang members.
So if we see a vehicle of interest, we can run it, hit your vehicle, type in the license plate. All the information will come up, who the driver is, who it's registered to, right to how many traffic tickets that person has.
criminal record, absolutely everything about them.
Next, curfew check for one of the most notorious alleged gang members in BC, Jared Bacon.
Generally speaking, the Bacon brothers represent sort of probably the greatest threat, or at least one of the greatest threats to public safety right now, high propensity for violence. Hey, let's go on. Just make sure you're home.
Threats against the Bacon family are so high, the city of Abbotsford installed cameras on the street for public safety.
We have a duty to protect lives. You know, it's part of our mandate, whether gang member or not. Like, we have to ensure safety for everybody, including gang members. This is also public safety measures, so that the nice people, the innocent people in the neighborhood, that they don't get caught up in this kind of activity.
But the most dangerous part of the night is in the clubs. Loud music, strobe lights, and packed dance floors make protecting themselves a challenge.
Well, we have a variety of tactics. We're always an eye shot of each other. We use hand signals, flashlights, tapping the shoulders, so lots of nonverbal communication that we use, incorporate.
After identifying several potential gang associates and tracking down their IDs, officers return to their computer to run them.
So this guy's associated to Lau.
Okay.
They get some hits and escort the alleged associates out. But before they leave, they notice familiar faces in the crowd.
One of the members recognized them from previous dealings involving firearms, and two of them had been arrested for firearms offenses. So they're not going to be allowed into the bar. So they didn't get in, and our members already recognized them and they already told them they're not leaving. So we're just going to check them now and just make sure they're not breaching any conditions. And if they are, we'll arrest them. If not, their night's done anyhow, because they're not going to be welcome in the downtown core or any club in Lower Mainland.
Got a handgun up front of his waistband.
Constable Bryan Carkner says the watch program is working, not only because citizens are safer with gangs out of public places, but also because it's deglamorizing the lifestyle.
What? This is like highly illegal. I don't have one criminal.
No, it's not illegal.
And you cannot profile.
They want to be seen driving the expensive cars. They want to be wearing the fancy clothes, the nice watches. You know, they're at the bar, spending the money, buying everyone drinks or whatnot, and so that's part of the image for these guys. Like, what we're doing is removing them from the public spotlight, so it's taking their wind out of their sails, and they can't be in the restaurant spending all the money. The reality is, it's not a glamorous lifestyle. Like, you know, if you pick that lifestyle, then you're going to be dealing with us.
And that's a message they want to get out to young people, fighting what they say is the false perception of gang life perpetrated by mainstream media.
It's portrayed as easy money and a lot of money. It's really not the case. But as a young kid, you know, it's very tempting to get involved in that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's not glamorous. It's illegal, and it's a short life. I mean, a lot of these guys we deal with, like, they don't live past 30, 35 years old, you know, and guys may even make it past them.
But the public isn't off the hook either. Shinder says they have a role to play as well.
If you're a parent, build strong families. Get involved with your son or your daughter. Get involved with their school. Get to know their friends. Get to know their friends' parents. Invite them into your home. Go into their homes. Build those strong networks. And just as you will get involved with your family, or you should be involved with your family, get involved with your community. If you have time to spare, volunteer with kids. Volunteer with youth. Volunteer at your son or daughter's school. Get to know these young people. And again, be the role model that you want your children to be when they grow up.
As gang wars in the Lower Mainland continue, police say their fight is not about eliminating gangs. They have always been around, they say, and probably always will. But their goal in the end is to curb their activities and protect the public by suppressing violence. For those living daily in the shadow of it, they can only hope and pray they succeed. In Vancouver, Cheryl Weber, 100 Huntley Street.
I thought that I could get people's respect and people's attention.
Tomorrow on the program, Amir Javid's harrowing experiences in a gang now help kids stay away from its destructive lifestyle.